So everybody sees these calisthenics skills, but they're always left wondering how long it takes to actually accomplish some of these skills. And what does it actually look like? If you scroll through social media, you'll notice that most people make it seem like all you do is some exercise progressions related to the skill, and that's how you get your first skill. Well, I'm here to break it down for you guys in a super simple, super easy way and explain exactly how long it takes and what it looks like to get your first calisthenics skills. Before we jump in the video, please understand that each individual is different, so someone could accomplish these skills faster or it could take a little longer depending on where you're at. Make sure if you guys aren't already, you subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, and let's jump straight into this video.
What's going on, guys? See Robbie Rob here. What's going on, guys? See Robbie Rob.
So how long does it take to learn calisthenics skills? Well, there's a variety of skills, and each skill has its own individual length of time that it requires and dedication that it requires to accomplish that skill. A move like the L-sit is a little bit easier to learn, and you can learn a lot quicker than a move like a full planche. The reason being is simply because of the demand of the exercise is a lot higher, and the way you accomplish each exercise might be a little different. Now, the coolest part about calisthenics is that a lot of these exercises do correlate together. They do have a lot of carryover. So for instance, if you train an exercise like pike push-ups, you're gonna be benefiting yourself by building shoulder strength and overall pushing strength that is gonna help you for not just moves like the handstand, but also moves like the planche, tuck planche, variations, handstand push-up, and other pressing exercises that require that shoulder strength. This is why it's a really good idea when you're trying to progress with calisthenics to find exercises that have a lot of carryover, cover a lot of ground, and really make sure that you practice those exercises regularly in a routine to build up that strength and work towards some of these skills. Now, how long does each skill actually take? Let's go through a couple of the skills. Some of them will be beginner all the way up to advanced. The first calisthenics skill is the L-sit, and the L-sit can actually take anywhere from 1 day all the way up into about 90 days. Please keep in mind it completely depends on your skill level and how you train and where you're currently at. But something like the L-sit you might be able to get down and do right now. Doing an L-sit requires a little bit of strength, a lot of core, and some mobility in order to actually get into the proper L-sit position. A muscle up might take you 3 months to 6 months. A move like the muscle up is one of the most sought after calisthenics skills, and although it could take longer than 6 months, it's really about how you train in order to get there. A good baseline is within your first year, you should work your way up into a muscle up. Even if you don't get it within your first year, that's usually a really good time period to work and master some of the basics and start to tackle your first few muscle ups. The handstand can take anywhere from 3 months to a whole year or more than a year, depending on who you are and where you're at. The handstand requires very specific skill training, and you have to work on the handstand regularly. Now, the front lever is one of the more elite calisthenics skills, and the front lever can take anywhere up to a year, really all the way up until 3, maybe even 5 years, depending on who you are, where you're at, and what your training kind of looks like. The more specific your training is dedicated towards learning a specific skill, the faster your results will be. The front lever is an elite calisthenics exercise that takes a ton of lat strength, some core strength, and you have to go through the proper progressions to actually get to the first full front lever. The last exercise is the planche, which can really take you anywhere from 3 to upwards of 7 to maybe even 10 plus years. Some people really struggle with this exercise, while others can get it in a relatively quick time period, but it usually takes years of training to achieve a full planche for time. For the full planche, it's very similar to the lever, just reverse. You're going to want to learn and do the isometric progressions, as well as build an entire routine out to working around the accessory muscle movements incorporated in the full planche. You need a lot of straight arm strength, a lot of front delt strength, and you need to have some good wrist build up in order to full planche. Focusing on pushing exercises will help you guys inevitably get towards your full planche, as well as combining that with the isometric progression. So now that we know about how long it takes to do some of these calisthenics skills, what does it actually look like? As we already said, most people will make it seem like you just do the strict progressions and then you automatically unlock your full planche, right? For instance, if I do tuck planche, I should just inevitably be able to do advanced tuck planche solely off doing tuck planche. But that's not exactly how it works. I hate to be the one to break it to you guys, but when you're doing these skill progressions and training, a lot of times we're not training solely for one skill. If that was the case, then our training might look a little different. But since that's usually not the case, what actually ends up happening is we need an entire routine that completely hits and works towards some of our goals, that is focused on actually learning these calisthenics skills. Hence why some of them can have longer time periods as well. So this is what it actually looks like to achieve your first calisthenics skill. Going through the same skills that we already went over, doing an L-sit, you could just do strictly isometric holds and eventually unlock your first full L-sit going through the different progressions. The problem with that is that, like I already established, we're usually training towards a variety of skills, and we need to focus on different elements in order to actually make progress. So what you really want to focus on to get your first L-sit is to build out a routine. This is an example routine that you guys can follow, doing exercises like leg raises, different isometric holds like tuck or single leg alternating tuck, windshield wipers on the ground, bench dips to work on that arm strength, and then some other varying core exercises will inevitably get you to your first L-sit. The best thing is to either take a specific day to do this routine or incorporate it into some of your already training so that you can actually work and build your way up into an L-sit. Now the next calisthenics skill is the muscle up, and in order to work towards your muscle up, once again with all these exercises we're going to want to complete in full routine. I'll drop a full routine that you guys can kind of follow along and implement right here. But really what you're going to want to focus on is exercises like straight bar dips, high close pull-ups, L-sit pull-ups, hollow body pull-ups, and really working on that explosiveness to work your way towards a full muscle up. You can also use accessory movements to complement your progression, like band assisted muscle ups or muscle up jump negatives are really going to help you really get that first muscle up, especially if you're struggling. Now the third calisthenics skill is your handstand, and with the handstand it's going to require a little bit more dedicated training. To get your first handstand, ultimately you're going to want to focus on doing handstands. The only exercises that I found that really work and help towards your handstand is on the strength side of things, like pike push-ups, elevated feet pike push-ups, handstands against the wall. Now, for getting our handstand on the balance side of things, you can use exercises like crow pose, frog stand, and these will ultimately help you get a feel for it. But at the end of the day, the best way to work on your balance for a handstand is going to be strictly practicing against the wall, pulling your feet off, and getting a feel for the balance until eventually you switch to freestanding handstand kick-ups and you try to learn the catch of the freestanding handstand. What I recommend is at this point you should really just take the time and throughout the day work on your handstand kick-ups against the wall to practice that balance. The more you practice, the better results you will have with your handstand. It does take a lot of time. It can take anywhere from 3 months to over a year, but depending on who you are and how much you train, you can learn the balance side of things relatively quickly. The fourth calisthenics exercise is the front lever. Before you guys even tackle the front lever, you absolutely have to be able to tuck lever. If you cannot tuck lever, then there's really no sense in working too much towards your front lever. As always, I'll drop the routine right here, but you guys are really going to want to focus on doing whatever front lever progression you are currently on, whether that's tuck, single leg tuck, straddle, or half lay, or even using a band to assist you with your lever training. And then what I really like to do is do combinations of different isometric hold progressions with accessory movements to actually get that first full front lever. Exercises like reverse deadlifts, 90 rows, tuck pull to hold with a negative, and band assisted and band negatives are amazing for actually getting to your first full front lever. The best way to do this is to incorporate direct progression hold at the beginning of your exercise routine and then switch into your routine where you actually focus on some of those other accessory movements like the reverse deadlifts. And the last exercise is the full planche. Now, while I don't have an entire full planche unlocked just yet, and I have been training for 7 years, there's a bunch of reasons that go into that. Regardless of that, there are a couple key things you need to do in order to get your full planche. Similar to the front lever, you need to focus on the direct isometric progressions and doing those at the start of your routine. This could be tuck planche, single leg tuck planche, advanced tuck planche, straddle planche holds, and even using a band to assist you in your training. I found that the band is really helpful for doing the different progressions, and when done right, it can really offer some much needed assistance to help you get to that first full planche. After you do these isometric holds at the beginning of your workout, you're simply going to want to build out a routine that really works towards this goal of accomplishing your full planche. Exercises like tuck planche push-ups, pseudo planche push-ups, band-assisted planche leans. Some of my favorite go-to exercises when building out a routine dedicated towards the full planche. Some keys with the planche progressions are always use and start with planche leans. Eventually progress your way towards the different isometric holds and go through your normal progressions, but really focus on exercises like pseudo planche push-ups. We've even found that doing exercises like handstand push-ups or handstand 90 presses are amazing for translating over towards your planche. So when you get to that level, you can definitely start incorporating those, even if you have to use a band to assist you. That is exactly how you guys can work towards your full calisthenics skills. It's not this simple, easy thing where you just simply do one progression and go to the next. Despite some people maybe being able to do this, it's not very reasonable over the longevity of things, especially if you have multiple goals. Following this exact structure and routines that I give you guys will help you inevitably get to these calisthenics skills. This is how you guys are going to level up with calisthenics. And so if you guys enjoyed this video and it helped you out at all, then please make sure, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Share this with someone who you know needs to work on their calisthenics skills the right way. This has been crobbyrob, and I will catch you guys on the next crobbyrob video.
What's going on, guys? crobbyrob here. What's going on, guys? crobbyrob.